The morning sun on Kepler 4-4 to be cast long shadows across the mining colony as Commander Li Huyanwu walked through the metal corridors of the main building. His boots made soft clicking sounds on the floor as he checked each room. The colony was quiet. Just like every morning for the past 3 years, Li stopped at the large window that looked out over the rocky landscape. Red dust covered everything as far as he could see. Strange purple plants grew between the rocks, and 2 small moons hung in the pale sky. This place was nothing like Earth, but it had become home. "Good morning, Commander," said Dr. Park So-young. As she entered the room, she carried a hot cup of coffee and a datapad. Her long black hair was tied back, and she wore the standard blue work uniform that all colonists used. "Morning, So-young. How are the samples looking today?" Li asked. Park smiled and showed him the datapad. "It's very good. The mineral deposits in Sector 7 are even richer than we thought. We can extract enough rare earth metals to fill 3 cargo ships." Li nodded. The mining operation was going well. Too well, maybe. Their small team of 42 people had found more valuable materials than anyone expected. Earth Command would be very happy with their reports. "Where's Taeho this morning?" Li asked, looking around the room. "Chief Engineer Kim is in the machine shop," Park replied. "We're working on the new drilling equipment. He says it will be ready by noon." Li walked to his desk and sat down. The colony ran like a well-oiled machine. Everyone knew their job and did it well. They had former soldiers like himself, scientists like Park, and skilled workers who could fix anything. Most of them had come here to escape the crowded cities of Earth and find peace on the frontier. The communication system beeped softly. Li pressed a button, and the voice of Han Yu-jin came through the speakers. "Commander, this is communications." "Ack! We have the weekly report ready to send to Earth Command." "Send it," Li said. "Any problems with the transmission?" "No, sir. All systems are working perfectly. But the quantum relay is stable." Li smiled. Yujin was young, but very skilled with the communication equipment. She had joined the colony 6 months ago and quickly became essential to their operations. Outside, the mining vehicles moved slowly across the landscape. Large machines dug into the ground in loaded trucks with valuable ore. The work was hard, but the pay was good. Most importantly, it was peaceful. Li stood up and walked to the window again. Something felt different today, but he could not say what. The sky looked the same. The machines worked normally. The colonists went about their daily tasks. Everything was normal, but years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts. Something was coming. "So-young, I want you to run a full scan of the surrounding area today," he said. Park looked surprised. "Is there a problem?" "Probably not. But let's be careful." Park nodded and left the room. Li knew she would do a thorough job. Her scientific equipment could detect energy signatures, unusual radiation, and any signs of life within 100 kilometers. Li walked through the colony to check on the other workers. In the machine shop, he found Chief Engineer Kim Taeho working on a large piece of equipment. Taeho was a big man with strong hands and a practical mind. He could fix anything and often improved the colony's machines with his own designs. "How's the new drill coming along?" Li asked. Tae-ho looked up from his work. "Almost finished. This one will dig twice as fast as the old model. We will be able to extract more minerals with less effort." "Good work. How are our defenses?" Taeho raised an eyebrow. "Defenses? We have the standard energy barriers around the colony and some basic warning systems." "Why do you ask?" "Just checking." "Can you review them today?" "Of course, Commander." Li continued his walk through the colony. He stopped at the security office where Yoon Ji-hae was studying patrol reports. Ji-hae was a former Special Forces soldier who had joined the colony to escape the violence of military life. She was small but tough, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Good morning, Ji-hae. Anything unusual in the reports?" She looked up from her desk. "Nothing major. Some of the motion sensors in Sector 3 triggered last night, but it was probably just local wildlife. The cameras showed nothing. Keep watching. I want extra patrols today." Jay studied his face. "Commander, Is there something you're not telling me? Lee paused. He had no real reason to be worried, no evidence of danger, just a feeling that something was wrong. Maybe I'm getting old and paranoid, he said with a smile. But humor me. Double the patrols and keep everyone alert. Yes, sir. Lee left the security office and walked to the main communications center. Eugène was at her station, monitoring radio frequencies and maintaining contact with Earth. Eugène, I want you to send a message to Earth Command. Tell them everything is normal here, but ask about any unusual activity in this sector. Unusual activity, sir? Ships, energy readings, anything that doesn't belong. Eugène nodded and began typing. I'll send it with the next data burst. Shh. Lee walked back to his office and sat down at his desk. He opened the colony's status reports and began reading. Food supplies were good. Water recycling systems worked perfectly. Air quality was normal. Power generation was stable. Everyone was healthy and happy. So why did he feel like something was watching them? He looked out the window again. The landscape was empty except for their mining equipment and the strange purple plants. The two moons moved slowly across the sky. Everything looked peaceful, but in the darkness of space, far beyond what human eyes could see, something was indeed watching. A small ship, black and silent, hung motionless among the asteroids. Its sensors recorded everything: the colony's energy, output, the movement of people and machines, the strength of their defenses. Inside the ship, alien eyes studied the data. The humans were weak, they concluded, primitive. Their technology was simple, their numbers few. This would be easy. The ship's communication system activated, sending a message across the void to a waiting fleet. The message was short and simple. Targets identified. Begin the test. Lee felt a chill run down his spine, though he did not know why. He stood up and walked to the window one more time. The landscape looked the same as always, but something had changed. He could feel it. So young, to Commander Lee, came a voice from the communication system. Lee pressed the button. Go ahead, sir. I'm picking up some unusual energy readings on the long-range sensors. It's very faint, but definitely not natural. Lee's blood ran cold. What kind of energy? I'm not sure. It's unlike anything in our databases. Should I investigate? Further, yes. And so young. Be very careful. Yes, sir. Lee stood at the window, watching the empty landscape. Somewhere out there, beyond the horizon, something was coming. We could feel it in his bones. The quiet days were over. Dr. Park Saw-Young sat at her science station, staring at the screen with growing excitement. The energy readings were getting stronger. Whatever was out there was moving closer to the colony. Commander Lee, please come to the lab, she called. Through the communication system, Lee arrived within minutes, followed by Chief Engineer Kim Taho and Security Chief Yoon Ji-hae. They all looked worried. What have you found? Lee asked. Park pointed to her screen.
Yes.
The energy signature is definitely artificial. It's not from any natural source. And look at this pattern. She touched the screen and colorful lines appeared. This shows movement. Something is flying out there. Taho leaned closer to the screen. How big is it? It's hard to say exactly, but it's much larger than our cargo ships. Maybe 10 times bigger. Ji-hae crossed her arms. Distance. About 50,000 kilometers and closing slowly. At this speed, it will reach us in 6 hours. Lee felt his heart beat faster. After 3 years of peace, they were finally meeting their neighbors. This is incredible. First contact with an alien species. What should we do? Taho asked. Lee thought carefully. We try to communicate. This is what humanity has dreamed. About 4 centuries. Park nodded eagerly. I can modify our radio system to send mathematical signals. Mathematics is universal. They should understand. Do it, Lee said. But everyone should be ready for anything. Park worked quickly at her station. She programmed the radio to send simple math problems. 2 + 2 = 4. 3 × 5 = 15. Then she added basic physics equations and the value of pi. Signal sent, she announced. They waited. For 20 minutes, nothing happened. Then Park's screen lit up with activity. They're responding, she said excitedly. They're sending back mathematical sequences too, more complex ones. Lee smiled. This is amazing. Keep talking to them. Park sent more signals. She included pictures made of numbers that showed the solar system, the human colony, and simple drawings of human figures. She hoped the aliens would understand that humans were peaceful and intelligent. Far away in space, the alien ship received these signals. But the aliens did not see them as friendly messages. They saw them as threats. Supreme Commander Kethver stood on the bridge of his ship, reading the reports from his officers. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. His species, the Valthari, had conquered many worlds and destroyed many civilizations. The humans are sending us combat codes, reported his communication officer. Combat codes? Kethver asked. Yes, sir. They are showing us their weapons, systems, and challenging us to fight. Kethver studied the human signals on his screen. To Valthari eyes, the mathematical patterns looked like weapon specifications. The pictures of humans looked like warrior threats. The simple drawings of the solar system looked like territorial claims. How dare they, Kethver said quietly. A primitive species thinks they can threaten the Valthari Empire. What are your orders, sir? Asked his tactical officer. Prepare the testing force. We will show these humans what happens when they challenge us. Back on the colony, Park was still trying to communicate. She had sent dozens of messages, but the aliens had stopped responding. Maybe they need time to translate our signals, she suggested. Lee was not so sure. His military instincts told him something was wrong. Ji-hye, I want you to quietly prepare our defenses. Don't make it obvious, but get everyone ready. Nodded. What kind of threat level? Unknown. But better safe than sorry. Ji-hye left the lab and began moving through the colony. She spoke quietly to key personnel, telling them to check their emergency equipment and review evacuation procedures. She made it sound like a routine drill. In the communications center, Han Yujin was monitoring all radio frequencies. She was young, but very skilled with technology. Her equipment could detect signals from very far away. Commander, she called. Through the intercom, I'm picking up new signals. Multiple sources, all moving toward us. Lee rushed to the communication center. How many? At least 12 separate signals. They're smaller than the first ship, but moving much faster. Lee felt cold fear in his stomach. Speed. They'll be here in 2 hours. Lee activated the colony-wide communication system. Co-personnel. This is Commander Lee. We have visitors approaching. This is not a drill. Report to your emergency stations immediately. The colony transformed quickly from a peaceful mining operation into a military base. Workers put on protective gear and moved to safe areas. Engineers checked the energy barriers. Around the colony, security personnel took positions at key points. Dr. Park continued trying to communicate with the aliens. She sent peaceful messages, pictures of Earth, and even simple music. But there was no response. Chief Engineer Tejo worked frantically to improve their defenses. The colony had basic energy barriers designed to keep out storms and small meteors. They were never meant to stop military attacks. No. I can boost the power to the barriers, he told Lee. But they won't stop serious weapons. Do what you can, Lee replied. Security Chief Ji-hye gathered her small team. The colony had 8 security personnel, all former military. They had basic weapons and training, but they were not prepared for war. What are we facing? Asked Choi. Minho, one of the maintenance workers, who had military experience. Unknown, Ji-hye replied. But we should prepare for the worst. She distributed weapons and ammunition to anyone who could use them. The colony had mining explosives, cutting tools, and some basic firearms. It was not much, but it was all they. Head Park made one final attempt to communicate with the aliens. She sent a simple message. A picture of a human hand raised in greeting, followed by mathematical symbols for peace and friendship. The response came immediately. But it was not words or pictures. It was a weapon. A bright beam of energy shot from the sky and struck the ground near the colony. The impact created a crater 20 meters wide. Rock and dust flew everywhere. Incoming, Ji-hye shouted. More energy beams followed. They struck the mining equipment, destroying trucks and drilling machines. The aliens were not interested in communication. They were here to fight. Lee watched the destruction from the command center. His hopes for peaceful first contact were gone. The aliens had made their intentions clear. "All personnel to battle stations," he announced. "We are under attack." The mining colony had become a battlefield. 42 humans faced an unknown enemy with superior technology and hostile intentions. They had no choice but to fight. In his ship, Supreme Commander Kethfer watched the attack begin. The testing force would evaluate human capabilities and then destroy them. It was a routine operation that the Valthari had performed on dozens of worlds. But these humans were different. They would not die easily. The war for Kepler-44 had begun. The ground shook as another energy beam hit the mining facility. Sparks flew from damaged equipment, and alarms blared throughout the colony. Commander Lee Hyunwoo ran through the corridors, checking on his people. "Damage report," he shouted into his radio. "Sector 4 is hit badly," came the voice of Chief Engineer Kim Tae-ho. "We lost 3 mining trucks and the main drill. But no casualties yet." Lee felt relief. The aliens were testing them, not trying to kill everyone immediately. Yet, that gave them time to respond. In the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Kethfer watched the attack with interest. The testing force had orders to evaluate human capabilities slowly. First, they would destroy equipment. Then they would attack defenses. Finally, they would eliminate the humans themselves. "Phase 1 complete," reported his tactical officer. "Human mining equipment destroyed. No significant response detected." "Begin Phase 2, Kethfer ordered. "Test their defensive systems." The 12 alien fighters moved closer to the colony. They were sleek ships with energy weapons and strong shields. Each one was more advanced than anything humans had ever built. But the aliens did not understand human creativity. Chief Engineer Tae-ho stood in his workshop, looking at the damaged equipment around him. Mining tools, cutting lasers, and explosives filled the room. Suddenly, he had an idea. "If they want to test us," he said to himself, "let's give them a surprise." He grabbed a mining laser and began modifying it. The laser was designed to cut through rock, but with some changes, it could become a weapon. He rerouted the power systems and added a targeting mechanism from a damaged truck. "Choi Minho," he called to the maintenance worker, "help me move this to the roof." Minho was a thin man with quick hands and a sharp mind. He had worked on mining equipment for years and understood how machines worked. "What are you doing?" Minho asked. "Making a gun," Tae-ho replied with a grin. They carried the modified laser to the roof of the main building. Tae-ho connected it to the colony's main power system. The laser hummed with energy. Meanwhile, Dr. Park So-young was in her lab studying the alien attack patterns. Her scientific equipment could analyze the energy signatures of the alien weapons. "Commander," she called through the radio, "I'm detecting a pattern in their energy shields. They pulse every 3.7 seconds. "What does that mean?" Lee asked. "It means there's a weak point. For a fraction of a second, the shields are vulnerable." Lee smiled. "Can you calculate exactly when?" "Working on it now." Security Chief Yoon Ji-hae was organizing the colony's defense. She had positioned her security team around the perimeter, but their small weapons could not reach the alien ships. "We need to bring them closer," she told her team. "Make them think we're helpless." Han Yujan, the communications specialist, was monitoring alien signals from her station. She was young, but very clever with technology. Her equipment could detect the aliens' communication frequencies. "Commander," she reported, "I'm picking up their radio traffic. I don't understand the language, but I can analyze the signal patterns. What do you see?" Lee asked. "They're coordinating attacks, but there's something strange. The signals are very rigid, like they're following a script." Lee thought about this. A script means they're not adapting. They're following a plan. "That's what it looks like," Yujin confirmed. This gave Lee an idea. If the aliens were following a set plan, humans could predict their moves and counter them. The alien fighters began their second wave of attacks. They targeted the colony's energy barriers and defense systems. Bright beams of energy struck, the protective shields around the buildings, but the humans were ready. Taeho fired his improvised laser weapon. The beam shot up into the sky and struck one of the alien fighters. The ship's shields flickered, but held. "I hit it," Taeho shouted with excitement. The alien pilot was shocked. His sensors showed that the primitive humans had actually damaged his shields. This was not supposed to happen. "Impossible," he reported to his commander. "The humans have effective weapons." Supreme Commander Kethfer frowned. "Effective weapons? They are a primitive species. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Yes, sir. But they hit our shields with some kind of energy beam." Kethfer studied the data from his sensors. The human weapon was crude but surprisingly powerful. It seemed to be based on mining equipment. "Interesting," he said. "They are more resourceful than expected. Continue the test." Back on the colony, Dr. Park had finished her calculations. "Commander, I have the shield pulse pattern. If we time our attacks perfectly, we can punch through their defenses." "Excellent. Can you coordinate with Taeho already on it?" Park connected her computer to Taeho's weapons system. Now the laser would fire automatically at the exact moment when the alien shields were weakest. The next alien fighter moved into position to attack the main building. But as it approached, Park's computer triggered the laser. The beam struck the ship at the precise moment its shields were down. The alien fighter exploded in a brilliant flash of light. "Direct hit," Taeho shouted. "We got one." The other alien pilots were stunned. One of their ships had been destroyed by primitive humans using mining equipment. This was not in their testing protocol. "Report," Kethfer demanded. Fighter 7. "Is destroyed, sir? Humans are using coordinated attacks with precise timing?" Kethfer's large black eyes narrowed. "Coordinated attacks. They are supposed to be disorganized primitives." "Sir, they appear to be adapting to our tactics." This was something new. In all their previous conquests, the Velthari had never faced an enemy that could adapt so quickly. Other species either surrendered immediately or fought with predictable methods, but humans were different. Jihei saw the alien formation change after losing one ship. "They're getting more careful," she reported, "but also more aggressive." Lee nodded. "They're not following their original plan anymore. We surprised them. What's our next move?" Taeho asked. Lee looked at his small team of colonists. They had destroyed one alien ship, but 11 remained. Aliens had better weapons, stronger shields, and more experience. But humans had something the aliens did not expect: the ability to improvise. "We keep surprising them," Lee said. "Use everything we have. Every tool, every machine, every piece of equipment. Turn this entire colony into a weapon." The colonists scattered to their tasks. Minho began rigging explosive charges from the mining supplies. Han Yujin started jamming alien communications. Park continued analyzing their weaknesses. The aliens had expected to test weak, primitive humans. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules. The real battle was just beginning. The alien ships changed their attack pattern after losing one fighter. They spread out and began circling the colony at higher altitude, making themselves harder targets. But Commander Lee Hyenwoo was ready for this. "They're being more careful." Now he said to his team over the radio, "That means we're hurting them." Chief Engineer Kim Taeho was already working on his next surprise. He had taken apart 3 mining vehicles and was building something new in the main garage. "What are you making?" asked Choi Minho, helping him carry heavy metal pieces. "A mobile weapon platform," Taeho replied. "If they won't come to us, we'll go to them." Security Chief Yoon Ji-hae was planning something even more dangerous. She had gathered all the colony's cargo shuttles and was filling them with mining explosives. "This is crazy," said Kong Dong-hyen, one of the miners helping her. "Those shuttles aren't built for combat." "They don't need to be," Ji-hae replied. "They just need to get close enough." Lee Mi-young, another miner, was connecting detonators to the explosive charges. "Are we really going to fly these things into alien ships?" "If we have to," Ji-hae said firmly. "Sometimes the best defense is a good offense." Dr. Park So-young was in her lab, working on an even more ambitious project. She had discovered that the colony's quantum communication array could be modified into a weapon. Han Yujin, she called to the communication specialist. I need you to help me reverse the polarity on the quantum transmitter. Yujin looked confused. I could destroy the entire communication system. Or it could save all our lives, Park replied. Trust me. The two women worked together, rewiring the complex equipment. The quantum array was designed to send messages across vast distances instantly. But if they could reverse its function, it might be able to disrupt alien technology. Meanwhile, the alien fighters continued their attack. They targeted the colony's power systems. Trying to disable the humans' improvised weapons, Supreme Commander Kethfer watched from his command ship with growing frustration. The test was not going according to plan. His forces should have easily defeated the primitive humans by now. Status report, he demanded. We have lost one fighter and damaged two others, his tactical officer reported. Human resistance is stronger than expected. How is that possible? They are using mining equipment. Yes, sir, but they are using it in ways we did not anticipate. Kethfer studied the battle data. The humans were not following any military doctrine he knew. They were improvising, adapting, and using their environment in creative ways. Increase the pressure, he ordered. Send in the ground assault team. On the colony, Tejo had finished his mobile weapon platform. It was built from mining vehicle parts and powered by 3 fusion batteries. A large cutting laser was mounted on top. It's not pretty, he said to Minho, but it should work. The improvised tank rolled out of the garage just as alien ground troops began landing near the colony. The aliens were tall, gray beings in dark armor. They carried energy weapons and moved with military precision, but they were not prepared. For human tactics, GA had positioned her people in hidden spots around the colony. They did not try to fight the aliens directly. Instead, they used guerrilla warfare. Wait until they're close, she whispered into her radio. Then hit them fast and move. The alien ground troops advanced in a standard formation, expecting conventional resistance. But the humans attacked from unexpected angles using improvised weapons. Beek Sujin, former engineer, had rigged explosive charges in the mining tunnels. When the aliens walked over them, he detonated the charges from a safe distance. Got 3 of them, he reported excitedly. Oh, Hyjin, the colony's elderly doctor was treating wounded colonists in the medical center. She refused to evacuate. Even when the fighting moved closer to her building, I'm not leaving my patients, she told Lee when he tried to convince her to move to safety. It's too dangerous here, Lee argued. Then make it safer, she replied calmly. I have work to do. The alien ground commander was becoming frustrated. His troops were taking casualties from hidden enemies using primitive weapons. The humans were not fighting like a normal military force. They are everywhere and nowhere, he reported to his ship. We cannot predict their movements. Nam Sukajin, one of the colony's pilots, was preparing for the most dangerous mission of all. He had volunteered to fly one of the explosive-filled shuttles directly into an alien ship. Are you sure about this? Lee asked him. Someone has to do it, Nam replied. And I'm the best pilot we have. Song Hyren, an engineer, was making final adjustments to the shuttle's guidance system. I've programmed it to autopilot after you eject. You'll have 30 seconds to get out. That's cutting it close, Nam said with a nervous smile. It's the best I can do, Song replied. Good luck. Dr. Park and Yujin had finished their work on the quantum communicator. The device now hummed with dangerous energy. If this works, Park said, it should disrupt their ship systems. And if it doesn't work, Eugene asked, then we'll probably blow ourselves up. Eugene laughed despite the danger. Well, at least we'll take some of them with us. The battle was reaching its climax. Tejo's mobile weapon platform was trading shots with alien fighters. Jihei's guerrilla forces were harassing the ground troops. Nam was preparing for his suicide mission. But the most important moment came when Park activated the quantum weapon. The device sent a massive pulse of energy into space. The pulse hit the alien ships and caused their systems to malfunction. Lights flickered, engines sputtered, and weapons went offline. It worked. Park shouted with joy. Their ships are disabled. Nam saw his chance. He launched his explosive shuttle toward the nearest alien ship. The pilot tried to shoot it down, but his weapons were not responding properly. The shuttle struck the alien fighter and exploded in a brilliant flash. The ship broke apart and crashed to the ground. "Hit," Nam reported over the radio. He had ejected just in time and was parachuting safely to the ground. The alien forces were in chaos. Their advanced technology had been turned against them by human ingenuity. Ships were crashing, ground troops were retreating, and their communication systems were jammed. Supreme Commander Kethfer stared at his control screens in disbelief. Half his testing force was destroyed or disabled. The primitive humans had somehow gained the upper hand. "How is this possible?" he whispered. His tactical officer had no answer. The humans were doing things that defied all military logic. They were supposed to be weak and predictable, but they were neither. The colonists cheered as the alien ships retreated. They had won the first round of the battle through courage, creativity, and teamwork. But Lee knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would return with more ships and better tactics. "Good work, everyone," he announced over the radio. "But stay ready. This isn't over yet." The humans had proven they could fight. Now they had to prove they could win. The alien retreat did not last long. Within an hour, the remaining ships regrouped and prepared for a final assault. But something had changed. The aliens were no longer following their careful testing plan. Your angry Supreme Commander Kethfer paced the bridge of his command ship, his large black eyes filled with rage. Half his testing force was destroyed by primitive humans using mining equipment. This was impossible. It was embarrassing. "Sir," his tactical officer reported nervously, "the remaining ships are requesting new orders. Tell them to destroy everything." Kethfer snarled. "No more testing. Kill every human on that planet." "But sir, the Council ordered us to evaluate their capabilities first." "We have evaluated them," Kethfer replied coldly. "They are dangerous. They must be eliminated." On the colony, Commander Li Huyanwu watched the alien ships reorganize through his binoculars. He could see they were preparing for a massive attack. "They're done playing games," he told his team over the radio. "This time they're coming too. Kill us all." Chief Engineer Kim Tae-ho was working frantically in the wreckage of the mining facility. During the battle, one of the alien fighters had crashed near the colony. The ship was damaged, but mostly intact. "If we can get inside," he told Dr. Park So-young, "we might be able to learn how their technology works." Park nodded eagerly. "Their weapons and shields are far more advanced than ours. If we can understand them, we might be able to turn them against their creators," Tae-ho finished. They approached the crashed ship carefully. The hull was cracked open, and strange blue light leaked from inside. The alien pilot was dead, killed in the crash. "Be careful," Park warned. "We don't know what kind of radiation or toxins might be in there." Tae-ho put on a protective suit and climbed inside the alien ship. The interior was filled with strange technology. Glowing crystals powered mysterious machines. The controls were made for hands with long, thin fingers. "This is incredible," he said through his radio. "Their entire power system is based on crystalline energy matrices. And look at this." He pointed to a device near the pilot's seat. "I think this is their weapon control system." Park climbed in beside him. "Can you figure out how it works?" Tae-ho studied the alien controls. They were very different from human technology, but the basic principles were the same. Energy flowed from the power source to the weapons through control circuits. "It's actually simpler than I expected," he said. "Their technology is more advanced, but it's also more rigid. Everything is automated. There's no room for improvisation." That's their weakness, Park realized. They can't adapt like we can. Meanwhile, Security Chief Yoon Ji-hae was organizing the colony's final defense. They had lost several people in the fighting, but the survivors were determined to protect their home. "We can't win a direct fight," she told her team. "But we don't have to. We just need to survive long enough for help to arrive." "Help?" asked Kang Dong-hae. "Who's going to help us?" "We're alone out here." Ji-hae smiled grimly. "Not anymore. Han Yujin sent our battle data to Earth Command. Help is coming." Han Yujin had indeed transmitted everything to Earth. The quantum communication system, even damaged, had managed to send detailed reports of the alien attack. Earth Command now knew that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that some aliens were hostile. "How long until they get here?" asked Li Myung. 3 days, Jihei replied. "We just need to hold out for 3 days." 3 days seemed impossible. The aliens had superior weapons and were no longer holding back. But the humans had something the aliens did not understand: the will to survive against impossible odds. Taeho and Park worked quickly inside the crashed alien ship. They had figured out how to access the ship's computer systems. The alien technology was amazingly advanced, but it was also predictable. "Look at this," Park said, pointing to symbols on a screen. "This appears to be their tactical database. It shows how they've conquered other species." Taeho read through the data. They always used the same strategy: test the enemy, evaluate their weaknesses, then destroy them with overwhelming force. "But we didn't follow their expectations," Park said. "We adapted and fought back in ways they never anticipated." "That's why they're angry now," Taeho realized. "We broke their perfect system." Outside, the alien ships were beginning their final attack. But Taeho had discovered something important in the alien computer. All Velthari ships were connected through a quantum network. They shared information instantly across their entire fleet. "If we can hack into their network," he told Park, "we might be able to disrupt all their ships at once." Park's eyes widened. "Use their own technology against them?" Exactly. "But we'll need to modify our quantum communicator again." They rushed back to Park's lab, carrying alien components from the crashed ship. Yujin was already there, trying to repair the damaged communication system. "Can you integrate these alien parts?" Taeho asked her. Eugene examined the strange crystalline devices. "It will be difficult, but I think so." "What are you planning?" "We're going to hack their entire fleet," Park said with excitement. While the engineers worked, the aliens launched their assault. Energy beams rained down on the colony like deadly rain. Buildings collapsed, equipment exploded, and fires burned everywhere. But the humans fought back with everything they had. Baek Sujin detonated explosive charges under attacking alien troops. Nam Seo Kajin flew a damaged shuttle into another alien fighter. Oh Haijin continued treating wounded colonists even as the medical center shook from explosions. Lee coordinated the defense from the command center. But he knew they could not hold out much longer. "How much more time do you need?" I asked. Taeho over the radio. "Almost there," Taeho replied. "Just a few more minutes." Supreme Commander Kethfar watched the battle with satisfaction. The humans were finally being overwhelmed. Their improvised weapons could not match Velthari firepower. "Victory is assured," he told his officers. "The humans will be extinct within the hour." But then something went wrong. Kethfar's control screens began flickering. Alarms sounded throughout his ship. Other ships in his fleet reported similar problems. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Sir, something is interfering with our quantum network. Our systems are being compromised." In Park's lab, the modified quantum communicator hummed with alien energy. The device was now connected to the Velthari network, sending disruptive signals. "Throughout their fleet, it's working," Yujin shouted. "Their ships are losing power." Taeho watched the alien fighters falling from the sky. They became too dependent on their network. When we disrupted it, their whole system collapsed. The aliens who had always won through superior technology were now helpless. Their weapons stopped firing. Their shields failed. Their ships began crashing to the ground. Lee watched in amazement as the alien assault turned into a complete rout. "Incredible," he said. "We actually won." But Park was studying the alien data they had captured. "Commander, there's something else. This testing force was just a small part of a much larger fleet. The main Velthari Armada has thousands of ships." Lee felt cold fear return. How long before they arrive? According to this data, they're already on their way. They'll be here. In 2 days, the humans had won the battle, but the war was just beginning. And next time, the aliens would be ready for human ingenuity. The colonists looked up at the alien wreckage scattered around their home. They had proven that humans could fight and win against impossible odds. But their greatest test was still to come. The next morning brought an eerie silence to the colony. Smoke rose from the wreckage of alien ships scattered across the landscape. The colonists walked among the debris, hardly believing they had survived. Commander Lee Hyun-woo stood on the roof of the main building, looking out over the battlefield. 42 humans had faced an advanced alien testing force and won, but the cost had been high. 7 colonists were dead, and half the colony's buildings were damaged or destroyed. Commander called Dr. Park So-young from below. Earth Command is responding to our transmission. Lee climbed down and hurried to the communication center. Han Yu-jin was at her station, receiving a message from Earth. "What do they say?" Lee asked. Yu-jin looked up with relief. "They're sending a fleet. Admiral Kim Sang-ho is leading 12 warships. They'll be here in 18 hours. Lee felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. Help was coming. But would it be enough? Chief Engineer Kim Tae-ho had spent the night studying the captured alien technology. He had taken apart 3 crashed fighters and learned amazing things about Valthari engineering. "Their weapons are incredibly powerful," he reported. To Lee, "but they have a major flaw. Everything is connected to their central computer network. If we can disrupt that network, their entire fleet becomes helpless." "Can we do it again?" Lee asked. "Not the same way. They'll be ready for our trick now, but I have some new ideas." Tae-ho had discovered that the aliens used quantum crystals to power their ships. These crystals were incredibly efficient, but they were also unstable. If overloaded, they would explode with tremendous force. We could turn their own power sources into bombs. He explained to Park. Park studied the alien crystal in Tae-ho's hand. It glowed with blue energy and felt warm to the touch. How would we overload them? By sending a specific frequency through their quantum network, the same network we hacked yesterday. Security Chief Yoon Ji-hae was training the surviving colonists for the next battle. They had learned much from fighting the testing force, but the main alien fleet would be much larger and more dangerous. "We can't fight them ship to ship," she told her team. "But we don't have to. We just need to buy time for Earth's fleet to arrive." The colonists had become hardened fighters overnight. Choi Min-ho was teaching others how to make improvised explosives. Kang Dong-hyun and Lee Mi-young were setting up ambush positions around the colony. Even elderly Dr. Oh Hai-jin had learned to use a rifle. "We're not the same people we were yesterday," Ji-hae observed to Lee. "This colony was full of miners and scientists. Our warriors." Lee nodded. "War changes everyone. Question is whether we can keep our humanity while fighting for survival." Meanwhile in space, the massive Valthari fleet approached the human colony. Supreme Admiral Zethkar commanded over 1,000 ships, the largest force the Empire had ever assembled. He was furious about the loss of the testing force. "Single human colony destroyed 12 of our fighters," he said in disbelief. "Is this possible?" "The humans fought in ways we did not expect," reported his intelligence officer. "They used improvised weapons and unconventional tactics." "Improvised weapons?" Zethkar laughed coldly. "Primitives with mining tools think they can challenge the Valthari Empire. We will show them the price of defiance." Back on the colony, Park was analyzing all the data they had captured from alien computers, which he found was both fascinating and terrifying, Commander. She called to Lee. "You need to see this." She showed him star charts and battle reports from the alien database. The Valthari have conquered 47 different species in the past 1,000 years. They're not just hostile to humans. They're hostile to everyone. Lee studied the data with growing alarm. They're building an empire by destroying other civilizations. Yes, and according to their records, they've never faced serious resistance before. Every species they've encountered either surrendered immediately or was quickly destroyed. "Until now," Lee said grimly. "Until now," Park agreed. "We're the first species to fight back effectively. That's why they're sending such a large fleet. They see us as a real threat." Han Yu-jin had been monitoring alien communications and had... "Disturbing news, Commander. I'm detecting the main fleet. We're still 12 hours away, but there are over 1,000 ships. Lee felt his heart sink. Earth's 12 warships would be completely outnumbered. Even with alien technology, the odds were impossible. But Taeho had been working on something special. He had combined human engineering with alien technology to create a new type of weapon. I call it a quantum cascade bomb, he explained to the leadership team. It uses alien crystals to create a chain reaction through their entire fleet network. Big a chain reaction? Lee asked. Big enough to disable every ship in their fleet, maybe even destroy them. Park looked worried. That sounds incredibly dangerous. What if the cascade effect spreads beyond their fleet? It won't, Taeho assured. The quantum crystals only react to Velthari technology. Human ships use different power systems. Lee made his decision. Build it. How long do you need? 6 hours. You have 4. As Taeho worked on his weapon, the colonists prepared for their final battle. They knew that Earth's fleet alone could not defeat 1,000 alien ships. Their only hope was Taeho's quantum bomb. Nam Seokin volunteered to deliver the weapon. I'll fly it directly into their command ship, he said. Make sure it detonates at the center of their fleet. That's a suicide mission, Lee pointed out. Maybe, but if it works, we save not just our colony, but all of humanity. Song Hyren was modifying a cargo shuttle to carry the quantum bomb. I'm installing an escape pod, she told Nam. You'll have a chance to get out. Small chance. Nam replied with a grim smile. The alien fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 1,000 ships filled the sky like a dark cloud. Their weapons could destroy the entire planet, but Admiral Kim Sang-ho's Earth fleet had also arrived. 12 human warships took position between the aliens and the colony. This is Admiral Kim to all ships, came the voice over the radio. Stand together for Earth, for humanity. The battle began immediately. Human ships fired their weapons at the massive alien fleet. The aliens responded with overwhelming firepower. Space filled with explosions and energy beams, but the real battle was happening on the surface. Nam launched his shuttle toward the alien command ship. Carrying Taeho's quantum bomb, Supreme Admiral Zethkar watched the human ships with contempt. 12 ships against 1,000? These humans are even more primitive than I thought. But then he noticed something strange. One small human shuttle was flying directly toward his flagship. Destroy that shuttle, he ordered. Hundreds of alien fighters tried to stop Nam's shuttle. But the other human ships provided cover. Sacrificing themselves to protect his mission, Nam reached the alien command ship and activated the quantum bomb. He ejected in his escape pod just as the device detonated. The explosion was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Blue energy cascaded from ship to ship through the alien quantum network. One by one, the mighty Velthari fleet went dark. Supreme Admiral Zethkar watched in horror as his 1,000 ships became floating hulks. Possible, he whispered. On the colony, the humans cheered as the alien fleet drifted helplessly in space. They had done the impossible. They had defeated the mighty Velthari Empire. Lee stood with his surviving colonists. Looking up at the disabled alien ships, "We won," he said in amazement. "We did more than win," Park replied. "We saved our species." 6 months later, the colony had been transformed. New buildings rose from the ashes of the old ones. Scientists from Earth studied captured alien technology. Military engineers designed new weapons based on Velthari science. And in the center of the colony stood a monument to the 7 colonists who had died in the battle. Their sacrifice had saved humanity. Lee walked past the monument every morning, remembering the quiet days before the aliens came. Those days were gone forever. Humanity now knew they were not alone in the universe, and that some neighbors were hostile. But they also knew something else. When faced with impossible odds, humans could adapt, improvise, and overcome. The galaxy would never be the same.